I have two, Liliana, female 20, and Anthony, male 16, children from a previous marriage, and Kaya, female 3, children from marriage with Tom. When I met Tom, I was a single mother, and honestly, times were rough. My previous husband disappeared just after the divorce, and although he paid me some alimony, I was on my own with raising our kids. Liliana was very difficult as a teenager. She had anger outbursts, refused to talk to me, told me she hated me. She didn't like Tom either, and got so upset with us once we announced pregnancy. She said it's never going to be her sibling. When Bella was born, hard times arrived. Tom and I argued, so he moved out and I still had to attend my work. I worked night shifts sometimes. Liliana started taking care of Bella when I was at work, or when I was sleeping after a night shift. Since then, she, Bella, and Kaya have been like best friends. It all changed when she got herself into medical university. She spent the whole day outside of our home. It got difficult on us, since Liliana stopped doing her part in house activities. When I asked her to cook or help with her siblings, she always responds, "I have a test this week," and it's the end of discussion. But apparently she got herself a job as a tutor. When Tom and I found out, both of us got a little bit angry, as if we were lied to. Times are really rough, and to support such a big family, we need to work a lot, so we need someone at the house to look after the young. Liliana knows it well enough, but she chose to be selfish and help herself and not the family. I only told her I'm disappointed with her actions. Tom started yelling at her, saying she is so selfish and the family would be better off if she didn't work and just babysat her sisters. Liliana started yelling back at him, saying she would be better off working and that we are the selfish ones. She started crying about never having money to buy herself anything, and that Dad sends me money for herself and not for the whole family, and she hates being the mother of the house. Tom kept on yelling at her, and I just left the room because I didn't want her to see me crying. But apparently Tom crossed some line because he yelled, "If you are so miserable with us, you are free to move out." So she did. I don't know when and how, but she got back in contact with her father. She moved out, lives with him, and stopped replying to any of my messages and calls. I don't know where he lives, so I don't have a way to go over to his house to talk some sense into her. I feel betrayed by her, as she knows how much dependent we are on her. My ex-husband also stopped paying me alimony for my daughter, which is against the law. Tom and I thought about suing him for it. Maybe this way, if we cut her off money-wise, Liliana would realize she is relying on us too. Would I be the a-hole? Edit. By alimony, I meant child support. I got languages mixed up. Edit 2. Since when are chores child aggression? It's not like Liliana is the only one taking care of the children. She simply has to help out in moments of need, like pick them up once a week or take them for a walk while I clean the house. As a family, we have to work as a unit and not individuals who don't care about each other. Edit 3. Since so many asked about it, we met to talk, and as some of you suggested, I said I'm fine with her living with her dad and he doesn't have to pay me anything, but I also won't pay for her last 3 years of university, as it's 4 times what he was paying me as child support. She quickly changed her mind and lives back with me. No drama to it. Tom apologized to her for getting mad at her. She apologized for acting out. You're the a-hole. Also, alimony isn't for children. You should really know what you're even talking about before you say you're going to try to sue someone for it. You would be the a-hole. You're the a-hole. Why did you have more children if you can't take care of them? It's not your daughter's job to watch your kids, especially to do that instead of getting a job and focusing on her studies. You're a bad parent. This. Stop having kids you can't afford or take care of, OP. It's not your daughter's job to be a third parent because you decided to have 2 more kids during hard financial times. I, 23 female, just recently graduated college a few months ago. 3 days ago, my father celebrated his 50th birthday by throwing this huge party at our place. I got to see a lot of my relatives again, which was awesome because I've basically been MIA at most family gatherings since I used to go to college out of state for the past few years. During the party, I caught up with one of my cousins and found out that my father had been giving one of my cousins a monthly allowance for the past 3 years to help her out. I was hurt when I found out about this because my father never gave me any financial support, besides the common necessities like clothes, which also stopped the day I turned 18. I worked at McDonald's since I was 16 for 2 years, just so I could buy myself some nice things once in a while, because I knew asking for certain things, like headphones or shoes, would be a waste of time. I had to take out student loans and community scholarships to pay for college. Throughout college, I had to work a full-time job which practically paid minimum wage, basically doing graphic design for a small marketing company. Don't get me wrong, I liked the job because it was remote and I had flexible hours. Basically, as long as I reached 40 hours a week and handed in my homework on time, I would get my paycheck, which was great since I had to cover my own expenses for things like housing and food. The fact that my father had been helping my cousin out while ignoring my financial struggles really hurt. I'll admit, my cousin comes from a poorer background, but we aren't made of money either. We're practically lower middle class. The whole thing put me in a really pissy mood, mostly because my brain was very much in question mode. He knew I was struggling, barely getting more than 3 to 4 hours of sleep a day while trying to maintain my job and getting decent grades, so I wouldn't lose my scholarships. I'm not sure if I'm being entitled right now, but to me, it isn't about the money, but more so the feeling of having my struggles overlooked all these years. I spoke to my dad about it the next day after his party, and the gist of the entire conversation we had was, I fed you and took care of you for 18 years. I helped your cousin for only 3 years because your aunt was struggling, and you're upset I didn't spoon-feed you too. It's already been done. Let it go. Basically, he thinks I'm an entitled adult baby, and he's gotten my aunt involved. They both think I'm an a-hole for bringing it up and confronting my dad about this, because I've already graduated and it shouldn't be an issue for me, because I'm not struggling financially anymore. Am I the a-hole here for bringing it up? Not the a-hole. I would be hurt as well. I hate when parents use the fact they brought you up as a reason for why you should accept their crappy behavior. Not the a-hole. It doesn't sound to me like you care about the money as much as the feeling like your father didn't care about your well-being, but showed care for others. It's great to be proud and take care of your own needs, but knowing you don't have backup from your family is hard. Finding out that whilst they haven't got your back, they have someone else's makes you feel less than, like you don't count. He says he supported you for 18 years, like you were a burden, and you knew in that time not to ask for things. Then he freely gave to someone else. The comparison for me would hurt. Not the a-hole. Maybe go no contact for a while. Let him keep taking care of your cousin. Eventually, your aunt and cousin will drain him. They sound like they are depending on him and he's enabling them. Good job on becoming successful and pushing your way through life. I, 29 male. Work overnights unloading supply trucks for a major hardware retailer in the U.S. My coworker John, 25 male, and his girlfriend Nancy, 26 female, fake names, have been with the company for about 3 years now. John works overnights with me, and his girlfriend works as a morning department manager, so they often see each other as we're leaving and she's coming in. I've become good friends with both of them, and we even hang out outside of work, playing video games, going to Topgolf, etc. Nancy has never been one for excessive makeup or jewelry, and as stated on more than one occasion, she prefers simple earrings and lipstick as her go-to. John told me last week that he plans on proposing to Nancy this upcoming weekend on her birthday, and showed me a picture of the custom engagement ring he ordered. It's their birthstones, garnet and emerald, inside of an infinity symbol. It's super adorable. Now to the issue. John was off work last night. As I was leaving at 5:30 a.m., I passed by Nancy, who had her phone to her face, and I caught a glimpse of a ring on her finger that bore a resemblance to the one John had shown me, and I made the comment, "Looks like he couldn't wait to pop the question," and laughed a bit. She put her phone down and kind of looked around for a second before replying, "Popped a question to me?" in a confused tone. I kind of stared at her for a second before looking at the ring again and realized it only had her birthstone and wasn't the one John had showed me. I tried to backtrack, but she pushed, asking, "Who popped what question?" I kind of rushed out of the building without replying and hoped she'd forget about it. Well, she must have put something together in her head, because an hour later, I got a call from John, who yelled at me, accusing me of ruining his proposal. I tried to explain that I've never seen her wear a ring in the 3 years I've known them, and suddenly she had one on her ring finger that bore a resemblance to the one he showed me at a glance. He wasn't having it. I feel terrible about opening my mouth, and I'm scared to go to work tonight because John will be there, and I'm sure he'll be upset with me. So, am I the a-hole for accidentally revealing my coworker's plan to propose to his girlfriend? Edit. I did try to sincerely apologize to John when he called me to yell at me, but he just kept getting angrier and wasn't listening to what I was saying. Also, and yes, I'm stupid, I didn't know there was a difference between left and right hands for rings. I just knew the ring finger, but she had the ring on her left-hand ring finger. No, a-hole. It seems like this was an honest mistake on your part, and you didn't intentionally ruin your coworker's proposal. It's understandable that you made the assumption that Nancy was wearing the ring John had shown you, especially since she had never worn a ring before. However, it's important to acknowledge that your comment did cause some confusion and may have led to John's plans being revealed earlier than he intended. In the future, it might be best to avoid making assumptions about people's personal lives or plans, especially if it's not something they've explicitly shared with you. That being said, it's clear that you feel bad about what happened, and you should apologize to John for any unintended consequences of your comment. Overall, I would say not the a-hole, but it's important to take this as a lesson on being more cautious with your words in the future. Not the a-hole. You made a mistake, but you did ruin the surprise. No a-holes, or everyone sucks here. Why did she run to her future fiancé instead of waiting for the surprise herself? Not saying she did anything wrong, but if it were me, I wouldn't have ruined it for my boyfriend like that. I would just keep my lips sealed and maybe tell that story later on when they can all actually laugh at it. My 26 female. Best friend Fiona, 25 female, and fake name, is very close friends with an ex-boyfriend of mine and his fiancé. Due to that, they asked her to be their maid of honor on their wedding. Fiona accepted, but I wasn't okay with that. I'm already uneasy with the fact that she's friends with my ex and his fiancé, but I think her being a maid of honor crosses a line, and both Fiona and the couple disrespected my friendship to her. I told Fiona I'd only be okay with her being a maid of honor if I received a wedding invite. In our culture, best men and maid of honors have a standard amount of people they're allowed to invite, around 10 people each. Fiona said she'd love to invite me, but since my relationship with my ex ended badly, and his fiancé also doesn't like me, I'm not welcome, and that's the couple's wish. I told Fiona that in this case, I'm not okay with her being their maid of honor, since it's a sign of disrespect to our friendship. Fiona said her friendship with them has nothing to do with me, and that they don't even talk about me. She just really clicks well with them, and she doesn't understand why she has to choose sides instead of stay neutral and be okay with both sides. I told her honoring them and accepting such a role in their wedding is a betrayal to my eyes, and I came across as forbidding her to be their maid of honor, so she dropped out because of this. Then my ex and his fiancé reached out to me and say I'm being really childish and unfair to Fiona, and that I basically took a very trusted and loved person away from their wedding party for my own selfish reasons. Fiona also believes I'm the a-hole, but she doesn't straight up say it, but I can tell she's mad at me. My boyfriend told me also that I took it too far by throwing an ultimatum about this. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. You don't own her. You cannot forbid or allow her anything. Why do you think you're so important? Why would you want to go to your ex-boyfriend's wedding anyway? Do you think you own him too? You're a terrible friend. Get over yourself. It's like you fell off the a-hole tree and hit every branch on the way down. You're the a-hole. You have zero standing in these relationships, and it is wild to try and negotiate an invitation as if you have any standing to negotiate. You're the a-hole. The world doesn't revolve around you. Your friends can have other lives outside of their relationship with you. My 37 female, sister, 40 female, is having a second wedding this upcoming summer. Her first wedding was nearly 15 years ago, as she married her college boyfriend when she was 25, and they divorced 5 years later. My sister didn't talk at the time about why the marriage ended, but came out as a lesbian a number of years ago. She began dating her current partner 5 years ago. She is lovely and seems like a great match for my sister. I'm genuinely happy for them and wish them the best. But here's where the conflict comes in. As soon as my sister announced that she and her partner are getting legally married, our parents jumped on the opportunity to plan and pay for the wedding. My sister and her partner can more than easily pay for it, but my parents insist on paying for it, for the principle of the matter. I believe this instance is largely a way for them to try to make up to my sister how they handled her orientation in the past. My parents have become far more liberal in recent years, but were heavily involved in the church when they were growing up. I didn't know this at the time, but my parents took my sister to some conversion therapy type program when she first tried to come out to them as a teenager. They now feel bad about this and try to make it up to her. Despite this, I think it is unfair that my sister is getting a second wedding paid for when I've only gotten one. I tried to bring this up to my parents by asking if they would pay for my husband and I's vow renewal to make it even. They got mad at me and said I was being ridiculous and selfish at a time that should be about my sister. Am I the a-hole for asking my parents to pay for my vow renewal to make things even between my sister and I? You're the a-hole. How about this? When you marry a woman, they'll pay for that. In the meantime, be quiet and enjoy your privilege of being able to marry the person you loved the first time. I'm delighted that your parents called you out on this. Go parents! You're the a-hole. You had a wedding that I'm assuming your parents paid for to a person you actually loved and wanted to be with. Your sister had a fake wedding to someone she wasn't really meant to be with, just because it was what she was meant to do, to make your parents happy. Now she's having a real wedding to a person she's actually happy with. Grow up. You're the a-hole. You even know this isn't a favorite child situation. It is a reparation for past hurts, an olive branch, and an apology. You are being petty as duck.